Cue suspenseful sound of a mailbox creaking open under moonlight. I caught the HOA president red-handed, standing at the neighborhood mailbox with a master key she should never have had. She called it an inspection. I called it what it was, a line crossed too far. But she didn't know the cameras were rolling, and this time the whole neighborhood was watching. Before I tell you how it all went down, let me know where you're listening from today. My name's Kyle Cruz, and I've always believed a man's home is his castle. Not the kind with moats and dragons, though that would be awesome, but the kind with mismatched socks, overwatered plants, and the quiet comfort of belonging. Our neighborhood used to be exactly that. Peaceful, bright lawns matching mailboxes, neighbors waving from their driveways. Then Karen Johnson became president of the Homeowners Association. Peace turned into paperwork. Smiles turned into inspection notices. And the sound of her squeaky golf cart wheels became the anthem of our anxiety. Karen didn't just enforce the rules. She created them. One day it was the length of your grass. The next it was the shade of beige on your trim. And then came the mailbox. It started with a note taped to every front door on our street. Crisp white paper, the HOA logo at the top, a sun smiling over a perfectly trimmed hedge. Inside it announced a brand new rule. Article 7, Section 4B, Mailbox Hygiene and Security Inspections. According to Karen, mail theft was suddenly a rising concern, and the HOA had voted itself the right to inspect mailboxes, unannounced, for cleanliness. Heather, my wife, read the letter over my shoulder. She's the calm one, my rock, the kind of person who can fix a spreadsheet, a budget, or a broken heart, all before her morning coffee. She looked at the letter and went very still. "They can't do that," she said. "That's potentially a federal violation." I looked across the street. Karen's curtains twitched. She was watching, always watching. Heather dove into research mode. Within minutes, she had the HOA bylaws pulled up on her laptop. She scrolled, scanned, double-checked. Nothing. "There's no clause about mailboxes," she said. "Mailboxes fall under federal jurisdiction. The HOA can't open or inspect them. It's not their property." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "So she just made it up," I said, "printed it on official letterhead, and decided she's the Postmaster General now." Heather's eyes narrowed. "She's testing people, seeing who'll push back." That's when I realized how deep her control ran. Mr. Henderson, our elderly neighbor, was reading his copy of the notice, shoulders slumped. The young Garcias next door looked terrified. Karen's power came from fear. If nobody said no, she owned us all. My first instinct was war. March across the street, letter in hand, and give her a public earful. Heather stopped me with one sentence. "Evidence over ego." She had that dangerous little smile, the one that meant spreadsheets were about to become weapons. "She wants to inspect our mailbox," Heather said. "Let's give her something to inspect." For the next few days we kept calm. We documented, we watched, and the neighborhood quietly began to stir. You could feel it. People were angry but afraid. That's when Karen struck again. The mailboxes for our street sit under a single flickering streetlight, 16 little steel doors in a row. On the third night I parked just far enough away to watch. Heather stayed on comms, our little spy operation. "Raven to nest," I whispered into my walkie. "Eyes on neighborhood." Her laugh crackled through the speaker. "Copy that, Raven, and remember, don't do anything dumb." Then, just after 11, I saw it. Karen's golf cart glided to the curb with its lights off. She stepped out, all in black, holding a set of keys. She looked left, then right, and slid a key into the master lock on the mailbox kiosk. The entire front panel swung open. 16 boxes exposed. She wasn't just inspecting for hygiene. She was reading return addresses, taking inventory. My pulse spiked. I promised Heather I'd just watch, but I couldn't. I got out of the car. "Looking for something, Karen?" I said. She jumped, dropped her flashlight. It rolled across the pavement, beam slicing through the dark. "Kyle, you're spying on me," she snapped, phone already in hand. "I'm conducting official HOA business." "Official?" I said, pointing at the open panel. "That's a federal mailbox. Where'd you get that key?" The old postman gave it to us years ago, she said quickly. It's legal. There was no way that was true. But before I could answer, headlights swept across the street. Barry, her loyal sidekick, pulled up fast. She must have called him. He jumped out of his car, puffing his chest. Back off, Cruz. You can't threaten the president. I didn't threaten anyone, I said. I caught her opening mail. Karen hit record on her phone, tears suddenly appearing. He's harassing me, she cried. Barry shoved me, not hard, but enough to knock me backward. I tripped, hit the curb and landed on my elbow. Pain flared. Heather's voice came over the porch cam, booming through the night. Step back. This is recorded. Barry froze. Karen kept filming, narrating like she was the victim. I stood up slowly, dusting gravel off my arm. She had the footage, the witness, and the story. I had nothing but a bruised elbow and a rising sense of rage. She won that round. Completely. Heather didn't say I told you so. She just cleaned my cut, disinfected it, and said quietly, okay. Her move. Now it's ours. That night, we did what she didn't expect. We got smart. We researched the United States Postal Inspection Service, the real law enforcement branch of the Postal Service. They investigate tampering, mail theft, and misuse of keys. We found multiple cases where people were prosecuted for far less than what we saw that night. The next morning, Heather made the call. Postal Inspector Ramos, how can I help you? A calm voice answered. Heather laid it all out. The fake inspection letter, the master key, the late-night tampering. She kept her tone even, factual. No drama, just truth. When she finished, the inspector paused. Then he said, that's serious. We'll need to review the footage. We sent everything. The doorbell cam, the porch audio, even the clip of Barry arriving. For the first time in weeks, I felt something new. Not anger. Hope. Within days, 2 unmarked cars showed up in the neighborhood, men and women in plain clothes. They didn't knock on my door. They went straight across the street. Karen's golf cart sat silent in the driveway. She came out in her pastel sweater, all smiles, until she saw the badges. They spoke for 10 minutes. She gestured wildly, trying to explain. Then they asked to see the master key. Heather and I watched from our porch as she handed it over with shaking hands. That was the moment she realized the rules didn't belong to her. The next week, the HOA board announced a change in leadership. Karen stepped down for personal reasons. The new president reinstated the old bylaws and even sent a letter thanking residents for their patience during a period of administrative confusion. I framed that letter. The lawns are green again. Kids' chalk drawings are back on the sidewalks. Even Gus the gnome made a comeback in the Miller's garden, fishing pole and all. Sometimes when I hear the faint squeak of golf cart wheels in the distance, I still get a little twitch. But mostly, I just smile. Because in the end, this wasn't just about a mailbox. It was about reminding people that power only works when you let it. And for anyone dealing with their own neighborhood tyrant, remember Heather's rule: evidence over ego. It never fails. If you ever catch someone trying to rule your neighborhood like it ends their kingdom, remember, even the biggest bully can outvote the law.